about the need and what you can do to help patients who are cancer patients and those with life-threatening diseases. So now I'll head over to Fred. Oh, I should read. Okay. So Fred has told me to start out with a letter. So it says, hello. Dear generous donor, I hope my card and letter find you in great health. Although we have never met, nor have we ever spoken, I would like you to know that I am and always will be forever grateful to you. I do not know your name, and I don't know what you look like, but there are a few traits that you were not able to disguise. Thank you for being the kind, compassionate, and generous person that you are. You are very giving of yourself and of your time. You and the other 36 years I suggest that you needed have left me in awe. Let me tell you a bit about myself. I was first diagnosed with Hodgkin's disease in 1997. A massive tumor was found in between my lungs and heart. After 10 months of chemo, there appeared to be no more disease. Unfortunately, 6 months later, some of my original symptoms returned. The tumor had returned exactly in the same location. Enter 1999, heart surgery, very aggressive chemo, hospital stays, infections, minor surgical procedures, a bone marrow transplant, surgery to the head, and radiation. I know, now you're jealous of me. I responded well to the treatments and was ready for my bone marrow transplant. The chemo did exactly what it was supposed to, suppress my immune system so that we could start all over with the bone marrow infusion. It was during this time that my platelets dropped down to 2. I started bleeding and void. As a matter of fact, between platelets and hemoglobin, I need you a couple of times a day, every single day. After surgery to my head, things calmed down a bit, and eventually I needed transfusions only 3 times a week. 3 times a week. Then it became like my part-time job. 1999 and the year 2000. For 10 months, you supported me 3 times a week. You must have never complained or had second thoughts. I know this because every time I needed a transfusion, you backed me up. Whenever I needed hemoglobin, you were there. I always needed HLA matched platelets. You were always there with me. I will never forget Christmas Eve, 1999. I spent a good part of the day at the hospital in need of transfusions. As I sat in the reclining chair, I thought about you. Christmas seems to be the busiest time of the year for most people, but somehow you found the time to donate for me. That was the greatest and most generous Christmas gift I have ever received. Thank you. I thank God for you. You simply amaze me. At present, I am combating myelodysplasia, a syndrome created by all the chemo I have had. The abnormal cells in my marrow make it difficult for my blood levels to remain normal, and thus I still require transfusions. Please don't give up on me. I thank you for your continued support. I do not know your blood type. You may be O positive, B negative, or even the rarest AB negative. What I do know is this: the rarest blood is the one that's not there to need it. I'm not sure if you believe in angels. I do. I believe that angels work and move among us and make the most of the love we have been given. You have been my angel. Where love is concerned, an angel will do whatever it takes to get the job done. Perhaps one day I will have an angelic encounter with you. We may pass by each other on the street, bump into each other while shopping, or even sit next to each other on the subway. I'll know when I see you. I would never want to overlook your presence, so I'll be looking for that special twinkle in your eye. I believe that God reaches out his hand to us every day. Thank you for being part of my lives, the unknown heroes of society. You inspire me to do my best for others too. After all, you have become a part of me. God bless you and keep you well in his care forever. May his light always shine down upon you. With much love and admiration from a very grateful patient.
Good afternoon. I'm going to tell you my sister's story. But before I do that, I want you to ponder 2 questions that I have for you. The second question that I want you to think of before the first one is who you know. And the first question I want you to think about as I tell you my story is who will cry when you die. I ask that because I myself have never seen a U-Haul truck following a hearse at a funeral. And given that premise, we know no matter how much we gather, no matter how much we collect, no matter how much we accumulate, we can't take it with us. It's also got to mean that at the end of the day, our lives will be defined by the car that we drive, the house that we live in, the suit that we wear, the cell phone that we use, even the name and the title on our business cards. At the end of the day, our lives will be defined by one thing only, our contributions. How many people we've helped, how many lives we've improved, and how much value that we've added to the people in the world around us. That letter that Denise read was my sister Laura. I'm going to tell you her story. But in doing so, how many in this room have a brother or a sister? So you are only child. Spoiled. But my sister Lori, when she was told that she had life-threatening cancer, I sat with her in the doctor's office and I held her hand. And you can imagine holding your brother's hand or your sister's hand while you take that news. You can sense the anxiety when she heard that news. Lori was told that she was doing very aggressive chemo, 26 rounds of chemotherapy in order to cure her Hodgkin's disease. So on our way down to each of these appointments, I would drive her and we would drive down in my car and hold hands. Sometimes we listen to the radio, sometimes we wouldn't listen to the radio, sometimes we would talk, sometimes we didn't say a word. And every time as she sat in the recliner, I held her hand. My sister Lori was afraid of needles, so she didn't like the poison being pumped into her veins. So to comfort her and hold her hand. And I remember the squeeze when the needle went in because she hated that feeling of that poison being put into her body. She was also told that chemotherapy was going to have really bad side effects. You know, one of the side effects was that she was going to get nauseous and she'd have to throw up regularly, dry needles, as you can imagine. So a lot of times on the way home, she forced me to pull over the side of the road while she got sick and feel bad. And I remember holding her hands many times while she threw up in this bag, and the looks and the stares that people would give us because they thought she was on drugs, maybe she was an alcoholic, you know, maybe she was on some street whatever, right? That's the looks that they would get. Another side effect that Lori suffered was she lost all her hair. She went completely bald. She lost her eyelashes, her eyebrows, everything. She was completely bald. So she didn't like the person who was back in the mirror. I remember specifically one time going to my mom's house and it was her birthday. And I went over. I said to my mom, "Where is she?" And she said, "Well, she's up in her room. You know, go get her to come down now that everybody's here. We'll have something to eat and then we'll celebrate." I went to her room and I saw Lori sitting on the edge of her bed, crying. She didn't want to come down. She didn't want to celebrate her birthday. She didn't like the person who was back in the room. My sister Lori had two kids. My niece Jacqueline was 12, and my nephew Christian was 8. And I remember when finally I got a call. It was in the middle of the afternoon. I don't remember exactly the time, but I got a call from my mom. And my mother said, "Well, Lori needs to go back to the doctor, and you should take her, because she doesn't want to go with us." So this was at the time, as she read in the letter, that her treatment was apparently successful, and that's when she wrote that letter to thank everybody. But right after that letter, her Hodgkin's came back in a bad way. She suffered the same symptoms. We went back to the doctor, and her specialist told us that she had 9 months left to live. In 9 months, she would be dead. So they told me and her, spend as much time as you can with your family, with your sister, and with her kids, because she wouldn't be here to see them this Christmas. So I remember going home and having a family meeting, and we all sat in my parents' living room, and I sat there, and Lori didn't have the courage to tell my other sisters, her kids, my brother-in-laws. So I told them. I said that she's going to die in 9 months. And there's nothing we could do. So as time went on, My, my sister got worse and worse. I finally got a phone call. It was my mom again. Lori started bleeding in the nose, just randomly. They called an ambulance. They took her down to Princess Margaret, and they admitted her. When we got there, the doctors were in her room. You know, we were all gathered around her. They came in. They asked us all to leave for 10 minutes, and they had a few minutes of conversation with her. And they called us in. The doctors had pulled me aside. My sister had asked that the doctor speak to me before she said anything to my family. And the doctors, they told me that your sister's going to die in about 4 hours. In about 4 days. What's going to happen is the carbon monoxide poisoning in her lungs is going to push down on her, and she's basically going to experience suffocation or drowning. Is the symptom she's going to go through. So for 4 days, Lori was very worried about falling asleep, because we knew she was going to die in her sleep. We just didn't know exactly when. So for 4 days, I sat beside her bed and I held her hand. If you can imagine, right, having to go through this. I held her hand while she said goodbyes to everybody. She did it one at a time. You know, from my youngest sister, Karen, to my older sister, Mary, my wife, my kids, my sister's kids, and finally, my parents and their kids. Lori was adamant that she didn't want my niece and my nephew, Jacqueline and Christian, to see her die, so she forced us to keep those kids away from the hospital. I was holding her hand. It was Wednesday afternoon when her monitor finally went flatline, you know, and the hideous noise stopped. And the nurses finally came in and turned off that whistling of the oxygen, and Lori's hands were cold. I was holding her hand when she died. My brother-in-law, Frank, and my sister, Paula, had the unpleasant experience of going to the school where my niece and my nephew were. They had to call those kids down to the principal's office, and Paula had to tell them that their mom had died. You know, and I remember Paula, when I asked her, you know, what did Jacqueline say to you? She said, well, Jacqueline looked to the ground and looked up at Paula and said, heaven could have gone a better angel. How true. My sister Lori was a joy, an inspiration, and a treasure to anybody that knew her. And a lot of you today, probably, when I mention what she did for a living, will recognize some of her work. My sister Lori was a graphic artist. She worked on Nike, Adidas, McDonald's, Harvey's. She even did part of the M&M's family logos and trademarks. She did a lot of wine companies like Magnata. So if you know Nike or Adidas, my sister worked on those campaigns. That's what she did. You know, Lori was a treasure, an inspiration, and a joy to anybody that really knew her, and that's for sure. You know, my message today is about leadership and what it takes to be a true leader. You know, when I say leadership, what does that mean to you? What does the word leadership mean to you? Right? And I do promise you this, that when you're gone, you know, at your final resting place, there's going to be two numbers. The first is the day you were born, and there's nothing anybody can do about that. And the second is the day you die, and there's nothing anyone else can do about that either. But here's the thing, in between those two dates is this little dash. And that dash represents the path of your life. That dash represents the relationship with your friends, with your families, with your co-workers, even eventually at one point with your kids. That dash will represent your life. And you know, you all have the ability to influence that dash. So, there's a lot of high-impact commercials that you see with Canadian Blood Services. You know, their key question was, when I said my second question that I wanted you to ponder is, who do you know? You know, the tagline for Canadian Blood Services has always been, if you knew. You know, if you knew. You know, if you knew this was going to happen, what would you do about it? If you had a crystal ball and could predict the future, what would you do about it? Well, you know, Norman Cousins, was a professor at the University of Southern California, and he taught the power of healing with your mind. No matter how adverse it is, if you have positive thoughts, you can actually cure yourself. This is what he taught. I don't know how many of us believe it, but you know, that's what he taught. And in his book, I'm going to quote from him. He said that the greatest tragedy in life is not death, but rather what you let die inside of you. Now, it's funny that, you know, when I read that, the first thing I thought about was blood, right? You know, blood is one of those things that we can't make. You know, Apple could make a better iPhone. You can't make blood. You know, if you needed a hip, they make hips. If you needed an arm, they make arms. They make elbows, they make joints, they even make parts. You can't make blood. The only way you can get it is from one donor to one recipient. That's the only way you can get it. So I said my message was about leadership, and if you knew. My background is finance. You know, insurance, investments, etc. So in my past, I don't do that anymore, I sold that company, but in the past I had access to a lot of data. And when I decided with the Speakers Bureau that I was going to come out and speak to groups like this and motivate you guys to become leaders in the community and raise awareness and beat that 700 mark that we're striving for in this campus, right? I started to get some facts. So just by show of hands, okay, I want to ask some questions. How many people in this room know somebody who's had cancer? Raise your hand. Now keep your hands up, okay? How many people in this room know somebody who's had a heart attack? Raise your hands. Keep them up. How many people in this room know somebody who's needed some form of surgery, like bypass surgery, or raise your hands? Okay. Now take a quick look around. We're at about 100%, and Laulette's got 3 limbs up, right? Okay. So if you knew, okay, if you knew, 1 in 4 of you in this room today will have life-threatening cancer before the age of 51. Okay? 1 in 3 are going to have a heart attack before the age of 57. And 1 in 5 will need bypass surgery or another form of surgery which requires blood and blood products before the age of 53. The average male in this room is going to live to age 71. And the average female is going to live to age 76. Let me ask you again. Who do you know? I think we all understand now when I say who do you know that can be in need. We all know somebody. Right? You know, they say the smallest of actions is always greater than the noblest of intentions. The Chinese, they have a really elegant way of phrasing things. The Chinese, they say the little bit of fragrance always clings to the hand that passes the rose. And how true is that? You can't help but improve your own life when you focus on adding value to the people in the world around you. You know, so today we all started off and everybody said good morning. You know, my thing is, how was your day today? I get asked all the time, like, why do I take time out of my day to come to groups like this or high schools or other companies and tell the story? And as you can probably tell, I'm not very comfortable telling my sister's story. It hurts. You know, it brings back a lot of bad emotions. You know, I'm raising those kids. You know, to have, you know, a 12-year-old and an 8-year-old without a mother and a father, it's bad, right? You know, and lucky that, you know, we're a big family and we love those kids like they're our own. But I get asked all the time. And the thing is, why do I do it? And, you know, you probably think that I'm here because of my sister Lori. That's not the case. I'm here because of my father. I'm here because of my dad. You know, and my mom, but more my dad. Because I'm a dad. I have 3 kids, sorry, and my niece and my nephew. I have a 19-year-old, pretty much your age. I have a 13-year-old, Victoria, and I have an 8-year-old, Loredana. I sat in my dad's living room and looked him straight in the eye and told him that his daughter was going to die. I'm a parent. It's not fair. My father imagined my sister's funeral in his mind 1,000 times a day. And I remember at my sister's funeral, I was a pallbearer. I pushed her casket into the mausoleum where she finally rested. And I looked back at my father, you know, about the distance from me to the left here. And my dad had my niece Jacqueline under one arm and my nephew Christian under the other. At that moment, my father, aged 10 years, his biggest fear had been realized. See, it's one thing to play it out in your mind. It's another thing when it actually happens. So why do I come out? Why do I come here and I talk to you guys to become leaders? Well, it's because of my dad. You know, because if we can help one family, you know, one brother, one mother, one sister, one son, one daughter, and save a life, it's all been worth it. You know, my point is this, and I say with the greatest of respect, that the deepest need of the human heart is not the need for, you know, a nicer cell phone, you know, a nicer car, a bigger home, you know, a nicer title on your business card. The deepest need of the human heart is the need to know that somehow that we've created a legacy, that we've made a difference, that we've added value to the people in the world around us. Really, when you think of the purpose of life, you know, life is really to have a purpose. You know, so I'm going to close with this. When you do die, at your final resting place, there's going to be those two numbers and that dash that I spoke about. But only two things are going to matter. Only two things. The first is, how much of your life did you manifest? And the second, how many lives did you touch? Now, you know, before I bring the letter, I'm going to leave you with this quote from Rumi, the great Sufi poet. I'm going to quote him. He said that when you are dead, seek for your resting place, not on the earth, but in the hearts of man. Every recipient that's sitting at Princess Margaret right now, waiting for whether it be platelets, whether it be blood, or is on the registry for one match, so they can get bone marrow. Every one of them is praying, in one form or another, that there's a leader, like somebody in this room, that takes action and finds that match for them. Every one of them. You know, my sister Lori, she believed in angels. And I believe in angels to a degree as well. What I do believe in is that that we do have leaders. See, because leadership to me means making a decision. You know, leadership begins the second that you make that decision. And it doesn't matter whether you come from the boardroom or the stockroom. The second you make a decision, you become a leader. Right? This group is filled with leaders, this particular group. And you're going to lead by example. And that's the thing. Right? Leading by example, you're going to affect lives, thousands of lives. You know, the event that you're putting on, the focus that you have, you know, you may not think it's for somebody that you know. You may not see that person, but if you think that one day it could be you in that hospital bed, you know, it could be somebody at home that you know in that hospital bed, you will have a direct effect of making an impact on that person. You can save thousands and thousands of lives. My sister Lori needed HLA match platelets. Okay? I'm not sure how scary it is. My sister Lori needed HLA match platelets, and at the time, you could only donate every 56 days. This letter that was written was hand-delivered through Canadian Blood Services for my sister Lori to 36 donors. The reason I got a copy was because I was on